You are trying to eat, just soft food, but one back tooth has turned every bite into a warning. There is no appointment, no clinic, no bottle that promises the pain will quiet down before sleep. A bad tooth is small, but it can take over a whole day. You chew on one side, you stop talking, you learn exactly which foods touch the wrong place, and you keep asking the same miserable question, what can anybody do? For most of human history, we assume the answer was almost nothing. That assumption is wrong. Archaeology cannot tell us what a toothache felt like, but teeth keep a very unusual record. They preserve holes, cuts, fillings, wear, and sometimes the material someone pushed inside. The oldest dental evidence is not one heroic doctor with a secret remedy. It is a scattered trail of people facing the same ordinary problem. Pain in a part of the body that is hard to reach and impossible to ignore. The trail begins with a surprise, not a metal instrument, not a palace, not even a written medical text. It begins with 11 drilled molars in a Neolithic cemetery in what is now Pakistan. 11 is enough to stop calling it an accident. But the next detail is stranger. At Mehrgarh, researchers found drilled molar crowns from 9 adults. The burials date to roughly 7,500 to 9,000 years ago. These were not front teeth, where a hole might be seen as decoration. Every drilled crown was a first or second permanent molar far back in the mouth. You do not decorate the tooth nobody can see by leaning a spinning point into it. The holes also have the marks of rotation. A point went down, turned, and cut enamel. Flint tips can do that work. The experiment is not vague. It leaves a physical trace, and 4 of those teeth show decay around the drilled area. That does not prove every procedure was treatment, but it makes treatment a serious possibility. So where did a village get a tool precise enough to cut enamel? Mehrgarh had another trade that demanded tiny holes: bead making. Flint drill tips were used to pierce hard materials for ornaments. The authors of the dental study suggest that practical skill may have crossed from beads to teeth. Picture the transfer. A tool that once made something beautiful becomes a tool that might make one person able to eat again. The bow drill is brutally simple: a shaft, a cord, a bow, and a point. The bow pulls the shaft back and forth, the shaft spins. In a bead workshop, that motion is useful. In a mouth, it is frightening. But the people of Mehrgarh did not try it once. The evidence suggests the practice lasted about 1,500 years. A tooth, a flint point, a living person. We know the holes were drilled. We do not know every reason they were drilled. 7 of the 11 do not have the same clear caries association as the other 4. And we do not know what, if anything, eased the pain. There may have been substances, rituals, restraint, or simply a tolerance we cannot reconstruct. The evidence does not let us invent an anesthetic, so we will not. That uncertainty is not a weakness in the story, it is the story. These people worked on a problem that still makes adults grip an armrest, and the surviving object gives us only the hard part. Someone turned a tool against a molar on purpose. Then Italy gives us an even older clue. At Riparo Fredian, a rock shelter in northern Italy, researchers studied 2 upper front teeth from one late Upper Paleolithic person. The direct date falls between about 13,000 and 12,740 years ago. Both teeth had cavities worked down toward the pulp chamber. Inside, researchers found a dark mixture: bitumen, plant fibers, and probable hairs. Bitumen is a sticky petroleum material. In the right light, it would look almost black against ivory enamel. The teeth also show internal striations consistent with human manipulation. Something was removed, something was packed in. This is why the oldest filling ever found is not silver, porcelain, or a neat white composite. It is tar. A cavity opening into the pulp is not just cosmetic damage. The pulp is the soft living center of the tooth, where nerves and blood vessels sit. Once food and pressure reach that space, every meal becomes a test. Packing the hole may have kept debris out. It may have changed pressure. It may have been a repair that made chewing possible for longer. Those are sensible explanations, but they are still explanations, not a diary entry from the person who had the tooth. The fibers and hairs caught in the bitumen make the object feel almost immediate. Someone prepared material, pushed it into a cavity, and left a trace that survived 13 millennia. We can watch a modern dentist repair a tooth in minutes. This older repair forces a more unnerving thought. The basic logic was already there. Remove what is bad. Cover what hurts. Keep going. Another tooth complicates the picture. In a cave near Lonch in Slovenia, a 6,500-year-old human mandible was found with beeswax in a cracked canine. The crack reached into dentine, the layer beneath enamel. If the wax went in while the person was alive, it could have been an attempt to protect a painfully damaged tooth. But the researchers were careful. They could not tell whether the wax had been applied shortly before death or after it. That single sentence matters. It keeps us from turning every ancient material into a confident cure. The Mehrgarh drill, the Italian bitumen, and the Slovenian wax are not one clean invention story. They are separate answers to the same stubborn body problem. It is tempting to end here with an easy myth. Ancient people ate natural food, so their teeth must have been perfect. The evidence does not support that. Farming often changes oral health, but not in one universal direction. Different crops, preparation methods, and communities produce different patterns. Research on living Hadza foragers in Tanzania also shows that foraging is not a ticket to decay-free teeth. That is important because it restores the real stakes. Ancient people did not have one primitive problem that modern life solved. They had many diets, many environments, and many kinds of dental damage. The through line is more ordinary. Teeth break. Food gets trapped. Pain makes people experiment. And sometimes those experiments leave a clue in enamel. Put the chain together. In Italy, cavities were cleaned and packed with bitumen more than 12,000 years ago. In Pakistan, a Neolithic community drilled back molars with flint points. In Slovenia, beeswax ended up inside a cracked canine, though its exact timing remains unknown. None of that means ancient dentistry was comfortable, safe, or scientifically understood in the modern sense. It means people refused to treat tooth pain as nothing. Today, a drill arrives with anesthetic, suction, imaging, and a person who has trained for years. The old drill arrived from a bead workshop. But both begin with the same tiny rebellion. This pain is not going to decide every meal. Would you have let them drill it? The tools changed. The human answer did not.